but whispers spreading like wildfire regarding Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers and his latest activity. Aaron Rodgers, will he actually leave the NFL? Will he say bye-bye to the NFL and accept the independent ticket presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy's offer to be his running mate in the big election in November of this year? Inquiring minds would like to know. Now, a decision, we are told, is going to be made March 26th. So there's 12 days to go. Allegedly, I have a feeling a decision will be made before then, but March 26th, and things are said to be reaching an impasse with the AFC football team based in New York, even though they play in New Jersey. So if you have not been following this, it's fascinating. For me, maybe not for you, but we're hearing the Jets, the reports out of the tabloids are, the Jets are upset with Aaron Rodgers. They're not happy over this story. They are spitting nails angry with Rodgers and what he is doing here to this franchise. The story out of the tabloids, the Daily Mail said from a Jets source, it's absurd to think he could campaign and play simultaneously. Lots of coaches and players want Aaron to commit to the team and worry about winning the Super Bowl over a chance to be in the White House. So, from the tabloids, take that for what it's worth. Let us discuss the question. The question's rather simple here. We're hearing the reports here. The Jets are angry with Aaron Rodgers. Should they be angry with Aaron Rodgers? I've got Mood Ring, Corn Maze, and Alice in Wonderland. I have those three things. And the bell rings. We'll connect them all together, and we are going to make some hand sanitizer, which is still all over this place for whatever reason. It's just all over. Everywhere you look, there's hand sanitizer. All right, so first of all, if you're the Jets, now should you be upset? You say, well, to a point, you're paying the guy to play quarterback, and this is him threatening to leave and go run for political office. So, yeah, absolutely, right? But you're in the theater. You're in the football theater. You're not in the political business. You're not part of that. You're in the football business. I get that. I understand that. Now, that being said, unless I'm mistaken, and maybe I am, but here's the thing. When you got Aaron Rodgers, you signed up for the all-inclusive Aaron Rodgers package, the all-inclusive experience with Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers lives in Neverland. That's where he lives, right? The Neverland Ranch. It just depends with Rodgers on the way the mood ring looks when he gets out of bed in the morning. I'm convinced of that. Depending on what color the mood ring is, that will depend on what Aaron Rodgers does that particular day. It's a careful analysis you will not get anywhere else. Now, Rodgers has already tasted the nectar of the Super Bowl with the Packers. He's got a Lombardi. If you had a chance, serious question. I'm not that into politics. I pay attention occasionally, and then I realize I don't like it, and then I take a step back, and then I'll get back into it, and then I'll hate it again and get back into it. But if you had a chance to be the vice president of the United States, the vice effing president of the United States, even if it's a 1% chance, wouldn't you take it? Like, seriously. Even if you were the quarterback of the New York Jets in the NFL. I would absolutely do it. 100% I would do it. And Aaron Rodgers, it sounds like he would do it also. He's already tasted the nectar of the Lombardi from the Packers winning the Super Bowl. There have been 20 franchises that have won Super Bowls since the 1967 invention of that name, the Super Bowl, 1967, when it began. There haven't been, in all the years of the Super Bowl, I don't know how many different quarterbacks have won, but there have been 49 vice presidents. You know what? In the history of the United States, going back to when the office was created in 1789, there have been 49 vice presidents. And here's the thing I learned. I didn't think this was really a story. I thought, well, this is just nothing. It's just a goofy story that we talk about on sports radio because we're sports nerds and Aaron Rodgers is a big name and we can intertwine politics and sports. But then I realized Aaron Rodgers is a major threat politically, that this is a massive deal, that Aaron Rodgers, of all people, Aaron Rodgers has an opportunity to affect who becomes the next president of the United States. Now, bear with me. What is my evidence that Aaron Rodgers is a massive enemy to the political establishment? His name popped up, and then within 24 hours, there was a hit piece on CNN attacking Aaron Rodgers, burying Aaron Rodgers, right? They report, if you didn't see it, Rodgers, they claimed they had a deep dive on Aaron Rodgers, and they essentially say he's lined up with the Alex Jones theory. Alex Jones, who got just taken to the cleaners in lawsuits because of things he said about Sandy Hook. And essentially Rodgers was telling people off the record that he thinks that was bogus, and that's what CNN reported. So we don't know whether Rodgers actually said that or not. I assume there'll be some podcast. Maybe he'll pop up with Joe Rogan and comment on it. But it doesn't matter whether he said it or not, because the meaning of that and what has happened to that story is massive. Either way, it is an admission that the Biden administration is freaking out about Aaron Rodgers, of all people. They're worried about Rodgers. So I have a buddy of mine I've known a long time. He actually covers politics. We don't talk that often. He'll sometimes send me a message, and we'll talk about. He'll ask me a question about, hey, who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl? And I hate that question. And I'll respond, if I knew that, I'd be in Vegas, you loser. But then I'll occasionally send him a message. I'll ask him about something I see on the political sites or something like that. And so we've known each other for a long time. We go back and forth. So on this one, we were like, hey, what's going on with this thing? And what's this all about? And he was explaining to me the way that it works and why this is a big problem for President Biden, that if there is an actual groundswell of support, this is what he told me, so take it for what it's worth, with a third-party candidate, that by rule in politics, a third-party candidate hurts the incumbent. And so the theory is that there's a lot of people that will never vote for Donald Trump for whatever reason. Right? You don't need to get into that here. This is a sports show. But my buddy's explaining to me, he's like, well, the people that wouldn't vote for Trump, they don't really like Biden either, so they'll just vote for this other guy. And that'll screw it up, and they'll split the vote, and then Trump will win. And so that's why Biden's people are freaking out. So, but they're turning to character assassination against Aaron Rodgers, and he hasn't even named the vice presidential candidate. And by the way, I mean, there are some stories that we've heard over the years that we're not allowed to speak on the radio of because we'll get sued, involving Aaron Rodgers. And if those things start popping up, boy, man, this is just the tip of the spear. So buckle up, buckaroo. All right, turning the page. We now go to Cam Newton. We go from Rodgers to Cam Newton, former MVP Cam Newton, who said it was alarming. He said it was alarming that the Falcons decided to pay Kirk Cousins and not acquire Justin Fields from the Bears. Do you agree with that? So no way do I agree with that. I'll push back on that. 8 days a week, I will push back on that. This is amazing to me. I've talked about this a lot. I'm still fascinated by it. Every time I watch the Bears, I look at Justin Fields and say, this guy stinks. And yet, all of these pundits, the nerds, are like, oh, I don't understand. Why are you not going to get Justin Fields? And here's Cam Newton. I continue to be fascinated by how many people are lost in a cornfield maze regarding Justin Fields. He has lived up to the scouting report when he was coming out of Ohio State. That is not a compliment. That is not an endorsement. It is not. Unable to overcome the kryptonite. Now, what is the kryptonite? All right, the kryptonite gets rattled by the pass rush. Check. Freezes when he sees the blitz. Check, check. Terrible field vision. Check, check, check. Too methodical. It's one of the reasons he gets sacked a lot. He's too methodical going through his progressions. All of that is true. Now, Kirk Cousins has other problems, but he doesn't have those problems. He's got other issues, but those aren't his problems. All right, final thought. We head to Dallas again, where a federal judge, big news here, federal judge has tossed out the defamation lawsuit. Remember that woman suing Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner? saying she claimed that she's the child, the love child of Jerry Jones, and Jerry was canoodling with her mom, who was like, worked for the airlines or something like that. Anyway, not only Jerry Jones, but several associates have been cleared. The lawsuit's been tossed out. So how is Jerry Jones feeling right now about that defamation lawsuit, that ruling? So think of this like Alice in Wonderland. All right, Alice in Wonderland. You know that Cheshire Cat in the movie? Yeah, you know that. You've seen that. Ear to ear, smile, ear to ear smile for Jerry Jones. Here's why. The lawsuit was not only dismissed, but this federal judge, who's likely going to get Cowboys season tickets now, the lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice. Now, I am told what that means is that lawsuit cannot ever be filed again, that this is it. It's over. And to my knowledge, Jerry never had to take the DNA test. There was a story a couple weeks ago he's going to have to take that. So good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And this is a reminder, as Jay-Z of all people taught me back in the day, the question is, how much justice can you afford? Jerry Jones he's worth $13 billion. And every man, woman, and child knows when you're worth $13 billion, justice is blind but loves the smell of money. Really likes the smell of money. It's a great smell.